Discover the miraculous breath, 7 divine steps for supernatural healing and prophetic alignment. In the hushed reverence of St. Jude's chapel, Margaret knelt, her heart a furnace of faith and desperation. She gazed at the flickering candles that danced like tiny stars, illuminating the darkness of her debilitating illness. Every evening, her ardent prayers rose like incense, a fragrant offering to the skies, pleading for divine mercy. The walls of the chapel seemed to hum around her, resonating with the cries of the faithful who had come before. This was her sanctuary, where the mysteries of heaven converged with the weight of earthly woes. On a tempestuous night, the wind howling like the anguished souls of the forgotten, the pastor ascended the pulpit, his presence commanding silence. His voice broke through the storm outside, vibrating with divine authority. "Tonight, God has a word for you, Margaret," he declared. "A prophetic journey awaits you, a journey of 7 divine steps leading to your miraculous healing." The congregation gasped, their collective breath caught in unison as if reality shifted, revealing glimpses of the divine. Margaret's spirit surged, perhaps this was the moment she had prayed for. As the pastor outlined each step, a celestial light enveloped the chapel. The very air crackled with the weight of expectation. Hearts swelled, and the atmosphere pulsed with a rhythm of hope. "Believe. Step forth into the unknown, and you will see the hand of God move." His words echoed in Margaret's mind, igniting a fire within her weary soul. She could almost see the heavenly host surrounding her, ready to bear witness to the unfolding miracle. The first step was daunting, steeped in uncertainty. Margaret's resolve wavered as dark whispers crept in, unveiling doubts from friends who loved her. "Are you sure about this, Margaret? It seems too far-fetched." They didn't understand the pull of grace she felt, the divine embrace coaxing her forward. But she pressed on, buoyed by whispers of encouragement from the congregation. Each step forward felt heavy, like wading through a tempest, yet Margaret's faith ignited sparks of inspiration within the village. "Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let us continue. Amidst the storms of doubt and despair, Margaret navigated her journey. With each step, cracks formed in her dread bonds mended, provisions arrived just in time, and she found joy in the small victories stitched together by her unwavering resolve. The village, once a passive audience, became a chorus of miracles resonating through stained glass windows. They witnessed the haze surrounding Margaret lift, faith flourishing like wildflowers. As she approached the 7th step, the chapel was alive with anticipation. Glassy-eyed villagers encircled her, clinging to every breath, their hearts poised for a miracle. In that fraught silence, divine energy surged. A radiant warmth enveloped Margaret, the church illuminated by brilliant light. Tears cascaded down cheeks, laughter erupted where despair once dwelled. Miracles were born, and hope soared higher than the clouds. In the echo of divine wonder, she stood at the heart of the community, trembling yet electric with possibility. Questions lingered. Had she reached the end of this remarkable journey? Or was this, in truth, merely the opening door to a larger awakening? As faith intertwined and the holy atmosphere thickened, each villager sensed the story extending beyond them, leaving an ineffable inquiry: what awaited on the other side of this miraculous threshold? The soft rustle of leaves outside signaled a gentle breeze that swept through St. Jude's chapel, mingling with the fragrance of burning candles. As the light of the evening waned, its golden glow set a sacred atmosphere. Margaret stood at the altar, the weight of the moment heavy yet exhilarating. Her heart raced. This was not just a journey towards personal healing, it was a collective invitation for all who needed a touch from the divine. The warmth of the light around her pulsed gently, filling her spirit with a new kind of courage. With each breath, she felt the air shift, as if it carried the whispers of angels, encouraging her to take a step beyond the threshold of her comfort zone. She closed her eyes, seeking clarity within. What do you want from me, Lord? She prayed silently, trusting that the answer would manifest in ways only heaven could orchestrate. Then, she heard it, the still, small voice echoing in her heart. This is the moment to rise, Margaret. You have become a vessel for others, a spark of hope. With a trembling heart but firm resolve, she opened her eyes and raised her hands, palms upturned, inviting everyone present to join her. Let us declare our faith together, she called to the villagers, her voice soft yet filled with confidence. Her call ignited a ripple of hope. They stepped forward, creating a circle around her, each person gripping the next's shoulder, forming a living chain of faith. Margaret could see the apprehension dissolving in their eyes as they stared at her, searching for assurances. Yes, she was afraid too. But in this hallowed space, perhaps it was time to shed the fear and step boldly into the divine light awaiting them. Let us lift our voices, she urged, leading them in a chorus of praises. It began as a quiet murmur but grew louder like a surging tide, enveloping them in a blanket of unity. We trust in you, Lord. We believe in your power to heal. We are ready for your miracles. The chapel reverberated with their collective song, sending tremors of vibrating energy throughout the space. The light intensified, bathing them in warmth, as if heaven itself was responding to their cries. As the villagers sang, Margaret felt unshackled, a soul renewed. Faith washed over her like waves crashing upon a shore, and with each note of the hymn, burdens lifted, and shackles broke. She saw familiar faces of those who had lost hope, who felt discarded by life's burdens. Yet here they were, voices raised, ready to reclaim their destinies. Margaret's heart swelled with love for her community, kindled by a desire to see them healed. Suddenly, amidst the song and the surging faith, a powerful wind swept through the chapel. It stirred the candles, casting dancing shadows that mirrored the turmoil and hope within their souls. The pastor stepped forward, eyes gleaming with fervor. God is here among us, he declared. Believe, and you shall witness his glory. Margaret, caught in the conviction of the moment, sensed something extraordinary was on the cusp of happening. Those 7 steps were not simply about her healing, they were a divine call to action for everyone present. As the music crescendoed, bursts of laughter erupted, their spirits lifting higher still. Was this the true essence of divine alignment? Were they now part of a much grander story, one that interwove their lives with purpose and hope? As the last notes faded and silence enveloped them once more, hearts raced with anticipation. In that sacred moment, Margaret felt the stirring of new questions in her heart. What does God have in store for us now? A profound sense of curiosity washed over her. But the journey was far from over. What awaited next? Would they witness something greater than they had ever dreamed? A hush lingered after the final notes faded, an expectant quiet that enveloped their hearts like a warm blanket. Margaret stood at the center of the circle, focus sharpened, attuned to the energy swirling around them. The wind, like an unseen force, carried whispers of change, a promise of transformation. As she gazed into the eyes of her neighbors, she saw more than just familiar faces, she saw the raw fabric of their hopes and dreams, tangled together with pain and longing. Together, they had formed a tapestry of shared burdens and aspirations. The spirit of unity hung thick in the air, creating a palpable sense of purpose woven beautifully with threads of faith. The pastor's words echoed in her mind, believe, and you shall witness his glory. What would that look like for them? Could the miracles they sang of manifest among them? Margaret's heart beat faster, the intrigue igniting a flame of determination within her. Let us take a moment, she whispered, her voice resonating softly yet firmly in the silent chapel. Let us just breathe in this sacred atmosphere. We stand here, not alone, but as a family, as one body in him. Let us sink into this moment and trust. Margaret closed her eyes again, encouraging the others to do the same. She felt the collective breathing start, a rhythmic inhale and exhale, rising and falling in a gentle wave. With each breath, they drew in the hope, the healing, the divine presence that surrounded them, and released the doubts and fears that had plagued them for too long. And in that moment of shared silence, a stillness descended. The air shimmered, warm and thick like honey, and Margaret felt a tingling sensation coursing through her body, as if every cell were alight with divine energy. Suddenly, her heart leaped. She heard it, a soft but undeniable hum rising gently around them. It began as a singular note, a sound that resonated from somewhere deep within their souls, harmonizing with the breaths of everyone present. Margaret opened her eyes to behold the faces of her friends, illuminated by the flickering candlelight, each person beaming with a newfound glow, radiating faith. "What is this?" someone whispered, words laced with awe. As the hum grew ever more insistent, it began to form patterns, weaving together their thoughts, dreams, and hopes. The sound evolved into a melody, one that seemed to speak directly to their spirits. It wrapped around each of them, urging them toward an awakening. Margaret's breath hitched. She felt the pull to not only belong to this community but to lead them together on a journey toward prophetic healing. "God is breathing life into our dreams and prayers," she proclaimed boldly, a joyous smile dancing across her face. "Let us step forth, into the realm of the miraculous." The villagers nodded in agreement, smiles shining brighter, the fear dissipating like morning mist. As the last lingering threads of sound echoed, a sudden gust yet again stirred the air, swirling among them. Shadows played across the walls, and for a fleeting moment, Margaret thought she saw forms dancing in the light, fragments of hope taking flight. Was God's creation joining in their divine melody? A thought struck her: what if this was merely the beginning? If the air crackled with renewed spirits here, what beyond the chapel awaited their discovery? What awaits us outside these walls? The question hung in the air like a sweet promise, beckoning them to step forward into a new adventure. Would the miracles they sought extend beyond their fears into the world beyond? With hearts aligned and whispers of divinity echoing in their souls, they readied themselves. An empowering journey, unpredictable and beautiful, lay just before them. What would they find when they stepped outside into the unknown? With a deep breath, Margaret led her friends to the heavy wooden doors of the chapel. Each face was aglow with divine anticipation, eyes shimmering with possibilities. The hum of unity still danced in the air, wrapping around them like an unbreakable bond. "Ready?" she asked, her heart racing. As the doors swung open, a rush of fresh air swept inside, mingling with the sweet scent of the earth and flowers blooming outside. They stepped into the bright morning light, a stark contrast to the dim sanctuary they had just left behind. The sun warmed Margaret's face, and she felt a thrill run through her. It was as if the world itself was inviting them to join in a grand adventure. The village lay spread before them, still as if it awaited their guidance. Birds sang in harmony, fluttering above, and the soft rustle of leaves whispered messages of hope. As they looked around, Margaret felt a growing sense of purpose. This was the land where their lives intertwined, a tapestry filled with stories of love, pain, healing, and faith. Margaret turned to her neighbors, inspired. "Let's south, go to the square. We have to share what we have felt today. There are others who need to know this same vibrant hope." With quickened steps, they made their way across the cobbled streets, laughter bubbling up among them. It was contagious, the joy that now filled their hearts. Each footfall seemed to resonate with the melody still echoing in their souls. When they reached the square, they found it bustling. Villagers were busy with their daily tasks, unaware of the new possibilities that awaited them. Margaret paused, feeling the weight of this divine moment. She could sense that God was leading them to something profound. The anticipation buzzed in the air, thick as honey. Gathering her courage, Margaret stepped up onto a low stone platform. She raised her arms, drawing everyone's attention. The square fell silent, curious faces now turned towards her. "Brothers and sisters," she called out, her voice a beacon of light slicing through the mundane. "Today, we witnessed a miracle. We felt God's Spirit among us. And He has sent us out to share this gift. We believe that healing is at hand for all who seek it." Gasps rippled through the crowd. Some nodded slowly, understanding dawning in their eyes, while others leaned in, intrigued. "What do you mean?" An elder man shouted from the back, skepticism tinged with curiosity. Margaret smiled, her heart warming. "I mean that God has not forsaken us. We have felt His love and His whispers of hope. And His healing is available today, now. Will you join us? Will you step into this new life with us?" A palpable energy shifted, and she could see some in the crowd absorbing her words. Faces softened as the weight of weariness lifted. These were hearts hungry for connection, longing for healing, ready to believe once again. Before she knew it, hands were raised, voices began to murmur in agreement, and excitement crackled like static in the air. "Yes!" they cried, a chorus of hopeful affirmation echoing back to her. Margaret felt the swell of joy in her own heart. God was moving among them, revealing Himself in unexpected ways. She knew this was just the beginning, yet the future unfurled like a bright tapestry waiting to be woven with each vibrant interaction and commitment to faith. As the atmosphere pulsed with energy, a sudden hush fell once more. Something was shifting. Spiritual currents flowed with urgency, a divine invitation permeating the air. What new wonders would they encounter together, and how would they bear witness to God's grace as they walked forward? With fresh resolve, Margaret closed her eyes briefly, breathing in the fragrant air of possibility. "What's next, Lord?" she whispered, feeling the flame of divine curiosity flicker within her. The moment remained suspended in time, heavy with promise, as they stood ready for whatever came next. The silence lingered for just a heartbeat, a stillness that felt both sacred and alive. In that hushed moment, Margaret felt a subtle shift in the very air around her. It was as if the wind itself carried whispers of promise, urging her to take a step further into the unknown. A woman in the crowd stepped forward, her features etched with worry. "I've lost my way," she admitted, her voice trembling like autumn leaves. "My son is sick. I feel so powerless. How can we truly believe in healing?" Margaret's heart swelled with compassion. "You are not alone," she responded, her voice steady now. "We've all faced shadows. The light of God shines in our darkness. Healing begins with faith and community." With a gentle hand, she gestured for others to join. One by one, those who had lost hope moved closer, forming a circle of vulnerability and trust. Margaret felt an electric closeness to them, hearts beating in unison, like a drum calling forth the Spirit of God to move. "Let us pray together," she proposed. "Let us share our pain and lift it to the Lord." In the center of the square, hands were clasped tightly, the circle a tangible embodiment of faith. As they bowed their heads, Margaret ushered a prayer that soared high, echoing in the corners of heaven. "Lord, in this moment, we seek your healing touch. We cast aside doubt and open our hearts to your miraculous grace. Let your power flow through us, bringing life and restoration." Tears glistened in the eyes around her. The weight of their burdens mingled in the stillness, dissipating like fog beneath the morning sun. Just then, a sudden rustle echoed through the trees. The crowd turned, their faces lit with awe as they observed a golden beam of sunlight pierce through the branches overhead. It danced around them, illuminating the circle in a warm glow. "What is this?" someone whispered in awe, eyes wide, as if time had stopped and taken a breath. "It is God's presence," Margaret declared, her voice rising in fervor. "He is here with us. Feel it. This is the love that heals." Encouraged by the atmosphere, the villagers began to speak. Some whispered their fears while others proclaimed their hopes. Stories poured forth like rivers, unearthing old wounds and celebrating small victories. Margaret could feel the energy building, a holy momentum gathering among them. The air vibrated, almost alive, as it filtered through each open heart. Then, in that sacred space, she caught sight of the elder man from the back again. He stood now, leaning on his cane, but his face was radiant. "You've ignited something in me, my dear," he said, his voice carrying the wisdom of years. I had long buried my dreams, but now they stir within me once more. Margaret felt the ecstatic joy in their shared awakening, as faith surged through them like waves crashing on a shore. With a smile, she beamed back at him. Your dreams are aligned with God's promises. In Him, all things are possible. The crowd erupted in a chorus of agreement. Hopeful shouts filled the square. Yes. We believe. Show us the way. As Margaret raised her arms, a deep well of joy filled her spirit. She felt the calling swell within her. This was not about her, it was about the community they built together in faith. They would transform the shadows into light. Yet, amidst their burgeoning faith, a sudden tremor of uncertainty rippled through her. What if the challenges they faced were greater than they realized? She offered a small prayer for guidance, but felt a flicker of divine mischief. Lord, what do you wish for us next? The question hung in the air, an invitation to the unfolding mystery that awaited them. What would they discover as they pressed further into the depths of faith? The compelling journey had only just begun. As the golden beam of light enveloped them, whispers of encouragement rose higher and higher, punctuated by the gentle rustle of leaves in the evening breeze. Margaret felt the warmth spread through her, illuminating her heart with a deeper understanding of the connection that had been birthed among them. The elderly man smiled brightly, shaking his head in wonder. It's more than just words, isn't it? We're not just expressing hopes, we're igniting a power that resides in each of us. His eyes sparkled as he looked around, reflecting the joy that swelled inside everyone. Exactly. It's a wave of faith, Margaret replied, her own heart synchronizing with the rising tide of belief. In unity, we amplify our prayers and visions. Through our shared experiences, we channel God's healing energy. One by one, others began to step forward, inspired to share their struggles and triumphs. A young woman, her voice wavering at first, shared how she had found comfort in God's love through her own battles with doubt and despair. I used to feel burdened by my past, she started, but today, I see that joy can emerge from pain. It's in our weaknesses that His strength shines the brightest. Emboldened by her words, another villager jumped in. I've witnessed the power of prayer when my neighbor's crops failed. We came together, prayed, and God turned the season in their favor. Miracles happen when we believe. The crowd erupted into newfound excitement, a chorus of affirmations overflowing from their hearts. As they continued sharing their stories, Margaret noticed a profound shift. The worries that had once darkened their eyes were now replaced with hope. Their burdens felt lighter somehow. In their vulnerability, they had woven a tapestry of faith, each thread a testimony of God's grace. Just then, the sweet sound of laughter cut through the air. A child, holding a twirling dandelion, danced a small circle, oblivious to the heaviness of adult struggles. Her innocence lifted the atmosphere, reminding Margaret of the simple joys of faith. She called out, "Look! Just like this flower, we too can spread our seeds of hope far and wide." Margaret watched as the villagers momentarily shifted their focus from their heartaches to the child. The laughter bubbled up, breaking barriers that had shackled their spirits, splinters falling away under the joy that enveloped them. In that moment, a gentle breeze whispered through the branches above, a reminder of the divine presence they had invited in. Margaret looked toward the heavens and felt an overwhelming gratitude wash over her. Thank you, Lord, for this divine connection. May we continue to walk in faith together. As the sun began to set, casting a warm glow over the square, the sense of anticipation hung thick in the air. Everyone was eager to move forward, but uncertainty lingered in the margins of their minds. What awaited them on this path they had chosen? How would their faith manifest in the challenges coming their way? Margaret felt the question resonating deep within her. Whatever lay ahead, one truth remained: together, they were stronger, equipped to face the trials that would surely rise before them. She took a deep breath, closing her eyes for a moment, allowing the scent of grass and blooming flowers to fill her senses. Lord, guide us, open our eyes to your truth. Her prayers echoed not just for themselves but for every heart that would find their way into this circle of faith. What remarkable journey would God lead them on next? What miracles would unfold in their lives as they continued to seek Him? With the air heavy with divine expectancy, Margaret sensed that their spiritual quest was just beginning, and the best was yet to come. As the first stars began to twinkle in the dusky sky, a sweet, welcoming calm descended over the gathering. A vibrant sense of unity surged through every heart. Each villager felt the pulse of shared hope, a reminder that they were not alone in their walk with faith. Margaret's thoughts turned inward, reflecting on the bonds they had all strived to strengthen. Have we considered how this journey calls us to more than just prayer? She asked softly, breaking the joyous reverie. Her voice echoed slightly, drawing the attention of curious gazes. It calls us to action. Faith without works is dead, and God's light leads us to love in action. The elderly man nodded, his beard catching the last flickers of twilight. Ah, Margaret speaks truth. This faith we share is like a seed. It must be nurtured with our hands and hearts. We need to venture into our community, extending the grace we've received. A ripple of excitement ran through the crowd. They began murmuring ideas of how to serve one another, volunteering time and resources to help those in need. A woman a few steps away with kind eyes added, "What if we organized gatherings to share our skills? Maybe a cooking night, or workshops to trade knowledge. We could bring comfort and joy to those who are struggling, just as we have found comfort ourselves." Yes. Several voices chimed in. Margaret's heart raced with the potential of it all. But a small flicker of doubt sneaked into her mind. Could they sustain this fire of faith when faced with life's inevitable storms? She inhaled deeply, beseeching God for courage and clarity. Just then, the child with the dandelion returned, her innocent wonder a stark contrast to Margaret's swirling thoughts. "Can we make a garden?" the girl asked, her eyes gleaming like the morning sun. "A garden where everyone can share and play? A place where flowers grow strong." "Flowers that grow strong," Margaret repeated softly, the metaphor striking a chord within her spirit. Yes, they were like those flowers, meant to bloom beautifully amidst trials, to reach for the light in unity. "Let us make it happen," an older gentleman bellowed, clapping his hands together. "A community garden. It will be our sanctuary of hope, a living testament to everything we are building here together." With a flurry of energy, they began brainstorming ways to bring the garden to life. Ideas flowed, voices mingled, and laughter rose like joyful prayers into the night sky. They envisioned not only a garden filled with vibrant blooms but one where conversations could blossom, healing could take root, and community ties could flourish. However, as their plans settled into place, an underlying tension lingered. Margaret felt the weight of the future pressing against them. She glanced at the fading light, recalling that darkness often follows promise. But what happens when storms come, or seeds do not sprout? She pondered internally. "Faith will hold us through," the elderly man declared with conviction, sensing her heart's struggle. "Together, we shall weather storms, mend broken branches, and support each other through every season." As Margaret caught his eye, she knew there was profound wisdom in his words. Yet her spirit urged her to dig deeper. Would their faith be enough? Would their bonds withstand the challenges that lay ahead? As the stars began to twinkle with celestial warmth, Margaret felt a stirring within, a call to prepare herself for what was to come. With hands clasped in prayer, she whispered, "Lord, equip us for our journey, reveal the path forged by faith." The possibilities ahead felt vast and intricate, like a tapestry waiting to be woven. Little did they know that testing moments lurked in the shadows, ready to challenge their resolve and grow their faith beyond imagination. What would be required of them when the weight of the world pressed down? The night brimmed with promise, yet uncertainty lingered, thick in the air. Would they learn to rise above? Would they flourish as the flowers they aspired to be? The unfolding adventure beckoned them forward, hinting at trials that would shape their understanding of divine grace and love. And as the last light dipped below the horizon, everyone held their breath, waiting for what divine revelations awaited them. The night deepened, and a cool breeze swept through the gathering, sending shivers of anticipation along the spine of each villager. The flickering lanterns cast a warm golden aura, reminiscent of gentle halos around every face, illuminating hearts aligned in purpose. Margaret felt a collective eagerness stirring, an invitation to step into the unknown, to truly awaken to a new spiritual chapter. "Let us not drift from our dreams," the elderly man urged, his voice rising above the gentle rustle of leaves. "How about we gather every weekend? We can nurture our garden and our spirits. Each week, let us share stories of our faith, our struggles, our joys." "Yes," echoed the crowd, their voices harmonizing in delighted agreement. Margaret's heart danced as she envisioned the weeks ahead. The community garden, a living symbol of their devotion, would bloom not only with flowers but also with the fragrant essence of friendship and unity. Each seed they planted would represent hope, and each session together would deepen their bonds. But as excitement filled the air, a thought edged into her mind. What if we don't have enough resources? What if we're met with failure? She whispered to herself, casting a shadow over the brightness around her. Yet the child with the dandelion stepped forward, her innocence shining brighter than the stars. "But what if we have faith?" she said, her voice unwavering. "Faith is like a little seed, isn't it? It grows. Maybe it just needs us to believe." Margaret felt the warmth of that truth envelop her like a soft embrace. Faith was indeed a powerful force, ready to ignite all their plans. As each person shifted closer together, Margaret could see that their collective faith was already beginning to weave something beautiful. "Let us start this week then. What do we need?" spoke a bold young woman. Lively ideas bubbled to the surface: donations of seeds, soil, and tools, and most importantly, everyone's time. They would each bring a piece of their lives to this garden as a testament to their shared resolve. "Remember, every step is a step of faith," the elderly man reminded. He smiled widely, his eyes twinkling like the stars above. "Let us begin to trust in God's provision, even in small things. Let us pray through the challenges, believing He wants us to flourish." Margaret felt tears prick at the corners of her eyes. They were standing on the brink of something profound. Not just planting a garden, but planting a future that echoed with divine purpose. And yet, beneath that beautiful vision, the shadows whispered warnings. What if storms came and washed their efforts away? Would they falter when faced with adversity? Would they cling to faith, or slip back into disbelief? A long pause hung in the air, heavy with uncertainty. Suddenly, a gentle rustling sounded from the woods nearby. All eyes turned as a brilliant white light flickered just beyond the trees. Was it a trick of the mind or a divine call? Margaret felt an urgency pulse through her. "Do you see that?" She pointed, her heart racing. "What could that be? Is it a sign?" Their gazes locked onto the light, whispering a mix of awe and trepidation. An electric energy seemed to wrap around them, igniting a burning desire to find out what lay ahead. And just as Margaret felt hope collide with fear, she heard the whisper of a promise cutting through the evening air. "Every path has its trials, but trust in the light, it will guide you." With resolve beginning to replace doubt, Margaret felt compelled to step forward toward the light, where mysteries and miracles awaited. What awaited them beyond those trees? A new challenge? A divine revelation? The only certainty was the courageous step they must take together. As they stood united, their hearts echoing, "Let us go," they embraced the unfolding journey. And thus, the next chapter awaited them, a test of not only their unity but the unwavering power of their faith. What would the light reveal, and how would it transform their journey? Margaret's pulse quickened as she took a step toward the radiant light. With each stride, her heart whispered, "This is where faith leads." Behind her, the villagers hesitated for a moment, their faces illuminated by both apprehension and curiosity. It felt as if they stood on the threshold of the miraculous, and the air around them crackled with expectancy. "Are we ready for this?" a voice came from the crowd, laced with uncertainty. It was the voice of old Thomas, who had seen too many storms and too many disappointments. Margaret turned back, her own doubts flickering like the lanterns overhead. "What if we discover something beautiful? What if beyond these trees is the beginning of everything we've dreamed of?" she replied, her words infused with a spark of encouragement. The light pulsed gently, dancing like a flame in the wind, beckoning them closer. "We must not let fear cage our hearts," Margaret continued, fervently. "This is a chance for our faith to bloom in the most unexpected ways." Breathless anticipation filled the night, and one by one, the villagers stepped forward, united in purpose. As they ventured into the deepening woods, the brilliant light wrapped around them, a warm embrace stirring their souls. The world around them fell away, and all that remained was the promise that lay ahead. As they crossed through the threshold of trees, the atmosphere suddenly shifted. A gentle breeze whispered secrets, brushing against their skin like a divine caress. The brightness intensified, revealing a sacred clearing blanketed with wildflowers glowing under the moonlight. Colors burst forth like a painter's palette, vibrant and alive, a reflection of their shared faith and hope. It was a breathtaking sight, as if the very essence of their dreams had materialized before them. Gasps escaped their lips, eyes wide in wonder. This was not merely a physical transformation, it was a spiritual awakening. Margaret felt the weight of their worries lift, replaced by an inexplicable sense of peace. In the center of the clearing stood an ancient tree, its massive trunk gnarled but sturdy, with branches stretching high towards the heavens. This tree was not only a landmark, it felt alive with purpose. Its roots twisted deep into the soil, representing the foundation of their community, fed by the waters of faith that had sustained them through trials. "Let us gather around," the elderly man said, his voice now filled with a reverent awe. As they formed a circle, Margaret rushed to his side, her heart full. The light seemed to pulse from the tree itself, bathing them in divine warmth. It felt as though they were at the heart of something deeply sacred. "What do you seek?" came a voice from within the light, resonating with love and authority. It rippled through the air, touching each of them. This was not a question to be answered with words. No, it reached deeper, digging into the fibers of their beings. Margaret felt her own heart responding, a profound yearning rising within her. "We seek faith to carry our dreams, strength to overcome fear, and unity in our journey." Her voice softened but held a weight of sincerity. And as she spoke, she saw the expressions of those around her shift. Faces grew determined, eyes brightened. Just like that, their hearts synchronized, a symphony of desires mingling in the air. Then, with a sudden brilliance, the light exploded around them. Shimmering particles swirled like golden dust, and Margaret gasped at the beauty of it all. The divine presence enveloped them, making it impossible to distinguish between each individual heartbeat and the collective rhythm of their faith. In that sacred moment, clarity washed over her. This was the beginning not just of a community garden but a glorious awakening. However, Margaret felt the weight of a new realization: the journey ahead would challenge them in ways they could not yet comprehend. As they stood encircled by light, the tree whispered ancient secrets, urging them onward. They must take the next steps with courage and joy, knowing that each path laid before them would invite transformation. And so, with hope crackling in their hearts and the promise of the light guiding their steps, Margaret knew one undeniable truth: what lay ahead would require more than just faith. It demanded action, belief threaded into every choice. What new adventure awaited them in this luminous embrace? What challenges would test their unity? As they took a deep breath together, the night felt alive with expectation, beckoning them into the unknown. The golden light continued to swirl around them, casting shadows that danced against the ancient tree. The gentle hum of the divine echoed in the air, wrapping each villager in a cocoon of joy and expectation. Margaret felt it fill her, an electrifying presence calling them all to something greater. "Here we stand," she declared, her voice steady and vibrant, brought together not only to seek miracles, but to be the miracle for one another. Her heart raced as she spoke, the truth resonating in each word. This was the moment to ignite the flames of purpose that had flickered within them all. The crowd shifted, excitement bubbling as the energy of connection thrummed through the circle. Together, we hold the divine spirit. The elderly man affirmed, his eyes gleaming with fervor. Let us sow these seeds of hope far and wide. Our community needs us to burn brightly. Margaret smiled as faces brightened, new determination flowing amongst them. We are no longer just a gathering of souls. We are a tapestry woven together, united in purpose. She lifted her gaze to the ancient tree, its branches welcoming the light. We will tend to our community garden, but let us also nourish the hearts around us. That was it. The seeds of their dreams had taken root. They began to brainstorm with fervor, each idea entwined with their unique stories and struggles. What if we hosted a weekly meal to gather everyone share our abundance and stories? A young woman suggested, her radiant enthusiasm infectious. Laughter bubbled as ideas flowed like a river through the night. What about a prayer station? Exclaimed another, eyes sparkling. A place for anyone to come for healing and guidance. Let us create a group for the kids. Teach them to garden and help them find joy in nurturing life. Shouted Thomas, his skepticism turned to support. Every voice added color, painting a vivid picture of unity and purpose. The tree, witness to their budding faith, stood unwavering, its branches stretching toward the heavens like a prayerful offering. Margaret's heart swelled as she observed the sparks of purpose igniting in the community. This was a flicker of revival, contagious, electric. But a shadow of doubt flitted through her mind. What if we stumble? What if we can't deliver the hope we promise? Yet, the divine light radiated, whispering answers to her fears. Every struggle is merely a stepping stone. Keep faith, and it shall carry you. Suddenly, the wind shifted, carrying with it the sweet scent of honeysuckle and the nearby call of crickets. The world around them felt alive, and she realized this was much more than an idea. They were standing on the precipice of change, not only to heal their village but to shine brightly with God's love for all. Faith requires action, Margaret proclaimed, her voice surging with conviction. We may face storms, but united, we can be the shelter. Each moment we choose to love is a step forward. With renewed resolve, they clasped hands, a unified circle, each heartbeat a testament to their commitment to light up their village and beyond. Let us pledge to this journey, as one family. She called, voice ringing like a bell that cut through the night. There was a collective intake of breath, a sacred acknowledgement of the vow they were about to make. For healing they whispered together, for sharing, for love. They felt the air thrum with divine energy as their commitment echoed into the silence, reaching the heavens, touching the heart of the Almighty. A shimmering pulse of light embraced them, a tangible blessing sealing their vows. The world outside their circle waited, vast and unknown. Shadows of doubt still loomed, but together, they had carved out a bright truth. They could do this. As they stepped back from their sacred circle, courage thrummed through their veins. Each of them held a flicker of hope that could spark a transformation. They took their first steps toward the community garden, hands clasped, laughter echoing, shining boldly into the night. What awaits us tomorrow? Someone asked. Margaret smiled, her spirit aflame with anticipation. The adventure of a lifetime. And with faith ignited, they would discover the miracles of their journey, one step at a time. With God leading the way, nothing was impossible. Together, they would sow seeds of joy, love, and healing, and witness the divine bloom around them. As they ventured back into their village, hearts aligned and spirits soaring, Margaret knew this was just the beginning. A journey of unwavering faith, brimming with purpose and love, a miraculous tale yet to be fully revealed. Now is your moment to join us on this incredible journey. Subscribe immediately to receive more exclusive faith stories that will transform your spirit. You need to show your support. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and spread the message of hope. We want to hear from you. Comment below your reactions and testimonies about this remarkable ending. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to feel this divine manifestation. Let us weave a tapestry of hope that touches lives everywhere.